72K Bitcoin is in play for us, but is this only the beginning? I've got an insane BTC target that I think we could reach pretty quickly. And then, guys, we've seen these altcoins. They are starting to move. I've got some proper DGen setups for you guys, and we're going to cover a lot of the setups from yesterday, and we're going to try and snag loads of entries. So much to talk about here today, guys. Let's get right into this. Guys, and remember,
treat the like button like Michael Jackson, just beat it.
And don't forget to subscribe as well. And here's our man, he's there. I still don't see the rainbow. I mean, the goggles are on. The goggles stay on because we're super bullish at the moment.
All-time high, we get rainbows. Let's go, y'all.
Okay, pump it, guys. Pump it. I'm bullish on rainbow. Let's go. Banter Bubbles. Look what is in the middle here. It's such a good little kitty popcat. And now I'm back in contention on the ZoomX competition. We had a bit of a invalidation the other day, and now we're back. I think we're back in the top 5. So I'm going to talk you through popcat. I'm going to talk you through my latest strategy on how I'm going to build a popcat position. Look at Sui. Off those levels we looked at yesterday, there were 2 big zones, and we've had it's about a 26% pump off the lows for Sui. So that is looking good. But I mean, pretty much wherever we look at that RUNE trade. Who took RUNE with me yesterday? Drop it in the chats. And we're going to look at RUNE. I have TP'd one of my RUNE positions on Bitfunded. We hit a zone. I'm going to explain why I've TP'd at that area. And then I'm going to tee you up with a couple of zones where we can start adding to some of these RUNE positions. So things are looking pretty good all over the place. Banter Bubbles is green. PEPE is on the list as well today, guys. So we got so much happening here. Just make sure you are smashing those likes and keep the man happy. And let's go. Okay, BTC on the 4 hour, and this thing is really looking it's looking a little bit intense here at the moment. So what I've done here to the upside is I've highlighted a couple. I mean, we got to enjoy the moment. Come on. I mean, this is wonderful. These are the moments that we live for here, guys. And BTC looking good. Now we've just hit one of our danger zones. This is the 72,170 zone. There's a wick to that upside over there. So this is danger zone number 1. These are the areas where you typically get a reaction, you typically get a rejection, and if you're brave enough, you start hunting for short. So offline, I was talking to Ray here, and I've asked him to start hunting for a short for us. Anything from the 72.2 up to about 72.9. I think one of these zones, if we get a sharp pump out of BTC in the next 45 minutes while we are talking, I think we're going to nail a little prime XBT shorty there. And we'll see how we go. Okay, so upside, we can see those are the danger zones. Let's look at some bullish areas here. Now, if BTC starts falling over, we know we are in a super bullish momentum mode on BTC. So that means we need to pull out our 236 fib. And for me, this is going to be 70,400. This type of region for me looks relatively reasonable if we drip into this type of zone. So we do have a little bit of confluence there as well. We do have some support horizontals as well as that 236. So 70,400-ish. Let's watch that area on a pullback. And then I've got a banger here, 69,400. I've got tie-in with a 382. I've got tie-in with banger horizontals. I've got tie-in with an anchored VWAP. So 69,400 looking like a nice hot zone for us. So that it will put people under pressure. They'll no doubt be late longers getting rinsed in that type of region, but I suspect we could get our next long at that 69,400. If we have to go lower, now I don't want to jinx this thing because things are looking hot. 67,800, but I'm not going any lower than that. I absolutely refuse. So that is what we're watching now. And then I just want to point out the regular RSI. We can see this on the 4 hour. This thing is super hot. And it's just something we're going to keep our eyes on now. When the RSI turns super hot, we start looking for clues. We start looking for things like bearish divergence. We try and get signs as to when this thing could start getting a little bit tired. And the last time we had such a hot RSI, you can see in this region, it was the middle of October, and we could see the price was starting to go up, and then we had a little pullback down on that side. Then we had this situation here. We had the price going up. We had slight divergence over there, and then we had that downside. So we're just going to keep an eye on the 4 hour. We're keeping it super simple. That's going to tell us a story as to when this thing starts getting a little bit tired. Okay, so Bitcoin is nailed, and I mean, this thing... it's moving, okay? I mean, even my ETH position has risen from the dead, bro. I mean, I was basically ready to take the L. I was ready to take the L, and ETH has come alive. My ETH bronus is back, okay? We're going to look at this ETH chart because it's come alive again for us. Now, This is basically me last night. I asked my wife to take a photo while I was standing on the bed. And this was me trying to sleep when Bitcoin was pumping. I'm telling you, it's a little bit challenging at the moment with the excitement. Yeah. But I mean, how do you like me in my gown? I was wearing my mullet wig as well. A bit of a look for me. And big week on the S&P. Now, I mean, today's all about altcoins and BTC, obviously. But I want to just jump through a couple of these US stocks quickly because it's a big sentiment week for us. It's a big week in general because this S&P is going to respond to some of these earnings results that are coming out this week. And I think it's time to start paying a little bit more attention. So let's just take a look at Google. We know we've got Google earnings coming out later on today. And Google's starting to look bullish. They're almost trying to pump this thing into these earnings. I just want to see this thing clear this 100-day MA. But it's going to be very interesting tomorrow. If we get decent results after close tonight, I suspect we are going to get a push into this 174. That could be a very interesting zone there for a little rejection or a little sell there on Google. So anyone in Google at the moment, they're putting pressure here on the horizontal. There's pressure on that 100-day moving average here at 168. It looks like they're trying to force it. Okay, they're trying to squeeze it through a tiny little hole there. I would say watch 174, watch 175, those types of level on Google. Could be a little pop coming from that side of things. And then we've seen, we've also got Microsoft news this week as well. We got Microsoft earnings. But just to confirm, last week we spoke about the proposal to the board to start investing in Bitcoin. And they basically said, fuck no. Okay, so that is now off the table. So, that was quite bullish news for us last week, but they are not interested now in the current Bitcoin investment. Maybe they don't want to get invalidated or whatever the story might be. But I thought, let's look at Microsoft as well. We got our earnings coming tomorrow, late tomorrow. And this thing, we did touch on this earlier in my show, probably about a week or so ago. And this thing's still looking pretty bullish. We're teeing up for a trend break here. So Microsoft could be teeing up for about 440, 444. So anyone trading stocks, things like that, nice little level up here that you might want to start tackling. But if we break this trend convincingly, this could be the start of a bigger move for Microsoft. So something nice for the stock traders and the crypto degens out there. I know there's two types here, and I know some of you are trading these stocks. And just pay attention, okay? These stocks are fun to trade. And big support here on Microsoft. 420. We've got the 200-day MA. We've got the 50-day MA. Big levels here for us, okay? Big levels. And Siege Photo says the energy is infectious. I
like that 420 number, and I would have never thought I'd see Dylan talking about
Raymond,
Google and Popcat in the same sentence.
Yeah, exactly. This is civilized, and it's absolute degen. But I must tell you, Popcat's such a good little kitty. Such a good little kitty. Okay, S&P still looking fine here. Okay, nothing to sweat about. S&P's cool. It's just doing its thing. It's grinding. I just want to point out the Wave Master again here at the bottom. You can see this thing might be telling us that it's time for some kind of reset. But remember, I mean, a reset could be very subtle. It could just take a couple of days, couple of weeks maybe, and just settle down there while this thing resets. So it's not always, the go-to, the maximum result is going to be got out of this. We really want to use these things as confluence, but we can see there's signs there to the upside on that wave oscillator that things are getting a little bit tired there on the S&P. Now, 𝗕𝗬𝗟𝗪 dropped an interesting one for us. This is one of our top researchers. He's actually on front runners at the moment, and he dropped Donald Trump Media. Okay, this thing, I mean, who's been paying attention to this situation? This thing's been absolutely pumping leading into the election. So I thought, let's take a look at this guy again. And this is now obviously super bullish on the Trump situation. We know Trump is favored in the odds to start winning these elections, and we're seeing it in the Bitcoin price. We're seeing it in his own stock price. And it's just general bull vibes everywhere. So interesting trade, this one, this DJT. And now we are at resistance. So anybody playing this game, just remember, dangerous zone here for us. We are a big resistance band, but I wouldn't mind seeing this wick get taken out. It could be quite interesting. If you get a Trump victory, you probably see a little pump here, then that reversal in the next couple of days. Remember, these elections are just around the corner. So we're talking a couple of days here, and a lot of action could be happening there. Okay, so Ray, I'm locked and loaded here, bro. I'm ready to start shorting this thing. You got to keep me posted. I like this look of this pump here at the moment. Let's talk Bitcoin targets. Let's talk Bitcoin price targets. Okay, so Fatman says, reminder that Bitcoin's inflation-adjusted all-time high is 80,000. So this is a very good point. We once tackled, not too long ago with MDX, we were speaking about the S&P 500 inflation-adjusted numbers, and we were quite well below all-time highs. And if we look at BTC, we're looking at $80,000, which would be the relative high if it was inflation-adjusted. So that is interesting. We're actually a little bit behind compared to where we were. And Usher says, what's the call of the day? Guys, I've got a few bangers teed up for you. Just be patient. Now, these altcoins have pumped. Okay, so if we're jumping into altcoins right here, right now, it could get a little bit risky for you. So I've prepped DGen set up for you guys. Just chill. It's coming. The good stuff is coming for you. Okay, let's go. What else do we have? So we've got Captain Fabric. He says, BTC is finally breaking out of a broadening wedge after 8 months of consolidation. His midterm target is 88 to 90K. Now, isn't this interesting? The man must use fibs. He must be involved in the science of things. And I took a look at this earlier today before I saw this tweet. And the guys that create the tile, they were saying, well, what is your target for BTC? Give us a target. And a very simple game plan. All you need to do is take your fib from the highs. Okay, you're going to grab your fibs from the previous highs down to the absolute lows. And then you're going to plug in your 1.1618 and you're going to plug in your 1.2618 and look at these targets. Bang in Captain Fabric's target zone here. And we know, we've seen this. This has been back tested many times on tons of tokens, tons of stocks and things like that. These things become reliable zones for us and reliable rejection areas, reliable target zones for us. So for me, anything to 88 to 90K looks like it could be on the table. Now, we need to understand, like, it's got a lot of work to do. Don't think we're just going to go straight in a straight line. I mean, it is possible. In 2020, 2021, Bitcoin pumped, what, $10,000, $15,000 in a couple of days. So it is possible that this thing can happen, but we need to understand. We've got big levels here in the way. We've got 73,800, which is our all-time high. That's in the way. And when we start cracking that, we're going to get aggressive here because we're going to start using this as support for this trade later on. Now, there is going to be a new big trade on BTC coming. So let's just break these levels. Let's find some support. Let's get sane
Patience,
again.
y'all. Patience and risk management. We're going to get
You don't need FOMO just under all-time highs. Now, there's a chance, obviously. There's a chance it pops. There's a chance it squeezes. And then you were right and you nailed it. But what happens if you FOMO at all-time highs? We get a monster rejection, 5-10% of BTC. Market turns bearish for 2 weeks. How are you going to be feeling if BTC is back at 64K, 65K? So just remember that, weigh up your odds, manage your risk. Okay, so if we do get a pop here, there's going to be trades. Remember, I'm here every single day. We're going to get a pullback at some point. We're going to be able to load it up on some key zones. So what we're looking for here, let's blow these all-time highs. Big trade coming on any retest later on. So when we get that solid retest, 72K, when we get a retest, 69.5, those types of levels, that is where we're going to look for a big trade to 89K.
We just pinged almost 72.5. We're pushing.
Okay, I'm loading up my cell here, bro. I'm getting ready. What are we, 72.5? Okay, it's coming. Okay, we're going to look here. We want to see a fake out here. 72,980. Let's look for a fake out into that zone here. Ray, keep me posted. If we ping 73, I'm going to have a little crack there. I'm going to start. Okay, let's go. So BTC on the daily, we know the story, okay? And DV8 popping above 72. Okay, guys, remember, this is risky shit. And make sure that if you are trying to short these things, make sure you are, in situations like that. As long as you got a couple of entries yesterday, then you guys are good. Okay, let's go. Others looking well again. So we've held our support. Remember, this is what we wanted to do. We wanted the others chart to hold this major $200 billion support, which is doing now. And we've also got a situation with dominance pushing into our major rejection zone, and we understand that this is a big weekly level. Now, it would be very surprising here if dominance pushes into this major weekly level and doesn't at least react. Okay, I'd be very surprised if it just burns straight through the zone. But again, this is crypto. Okay, anything can happen in crypto. But my game plan here is looking for this rejection or at least this reaction in the 60% zone, somewhere around there. That might come with a little BTC rejection in the next, say, 24 hours. And then we look for that for these altcoins, and that is going to start really churning them higher. Now, you can see I'm using Wavemaster at the bottom. Look at all these blue dots that they're giving us at the top here. This is screaming some kind of reversal wants to start taking place. So we just got to keep our eyes on this thing. It's super bullish at the moment, but at some point, this thing's going to start rolling over a little bit, and then our alts are going to start getting a bit of relief, and things are going to get super fun. If you think it's fun trading alts in the last 12 hours because we've had a couple of 10% moves, imagine what happens when this dominance starts falling over and they unleash the altcoin market. So Almost there, guys. We 60%. Okay, Ben Cowan's been calling 60% for years. I mean, it's basically felt like 2 years he's been calling this, and we're nearly there. So it's tied in with a 618. It's tied in with a major weekly level as well. So I agree. For me, that's a big level. But this is the one. Okay, is this the bottom now, Raymond? Come on, bro. Is this the bottom of ETH versus BTC? Bro, my trade turns green for like 1 minute. I'm like, the 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗔𝗡 is back. Okay, so we can see ETH versus BTC. This is the weekly chart, and I'm really clutching at straws here, guys. I'm absolutely clutching at straws.
I like what Moonflow is saying here. It feels like a season finale. And yes. we're breaking trends on the daily, the weekly, the 3-day on Bitcoin.
Oh, this is beautiful.
It feels like it's a different season. We're starting.
This is beautiful. So, guys, I just want to highlight this. I'm really clutching at straws. Yeah, I banged out a trend. This is a bullish wedge. Okay, look at this thing. It's descending down. If we get a bounce here, ETH BTC, then that takes off. Now, that, for me, ties in once again with this dominance rejecting at the 60.4. So very interesting times, guys. Yeah, let's see how we go. I mean, ETH, okay, we'll see. Okay, nice little pump on ETH at the moment. You can see we are back at our resistance zone. So this is typically an area now where we actually need to be a little bit cautious. So you don't want to be longing the top here of ETH into this type of region unless you're an absolute degen. Yes, I mean, that's fine. But we are longing. If you're longing this now, you're pushing into a resistance band. So the next play for me on ETH, the next proper trade on ETH, if we're going to get a conviction trade, look for a push into these horizontals. You can see this zone here, 2,700, 2,800. Look for that rejection. There's your trade. There's your big trade on ETH for me, and that takes us to the 4K, the 4.5, those types of levels that we're going to be looking for. So let's see if that is going to play out. Right now, we are at the top of the zone, a little bit of a danger area for us. So just be a little bit cautious. And then I've got 𝗕𝗤𝗕𝗥 talking about older memes coming alive again. Now we understand Doge is now popped alive, and now I've brought you PEPE. This is now second on his list. There's a lot of interest again, and PEPE hasn't been a good performer of late, and it's one of my favorite tokens to trade. So here is the current situation in ByBit for me. You can see I nailed that RUNE yesterday. I hope some of you guys got that thing, and that thing is starting to cook now. I've grown the position a little bit. I've been adding to that, and we're gonna see if we get a bullish pullback here, we can maybe double this thing up and really start sending it. Then I've got some PEPE going. I'm going to talk you through the PEPE chart because it's about to break the 200-day MA. It's time to start paying attention to PEPE again. Then Injective, that was the entry that we gave you guys yesterday. I've been adding a little bit to that one. And then Radium. We short Radium from, when was it? On Monday or Sunday night. DJ and David on the show, and we were looking at a Radium short, and Radium seems to be playing out. Now, it wasn't a big short, but it's green for now, and we'll take it. Okay, we'll take it. Right. Let's talk PEPE. I think, guys, with ETH strength coming alive again, touch wood, lots of wood, okay? PEPE could be something we need to watch. And you can see PEPE is now moving into our resistance band. So this is PEPE on the daily. Big pressure here. We've got major resistance in the zone. Anything down to this 0 point or multiple zeros, 9.7 region is resistance on the higher time frame. So we understand typically when we push into these zones, typically these are rejection areas. You can see in these types of areas, we reject, okay? So yeah, I wanted to say, DJs, okay, if you're going to play this game with PEPE, I've got a chart for you, okay? If we do pop through the 200-day MA, then things start getting super fun, okay? And then we start looking at some big targets on PEPE, but first job is to break the 200-day MA. There's a 35% move coming on PEPE if this thing can do what it's supposed to do. So here it is on your 1 hour degen chart, courtesy of the Lord of Entry, okay? And you can see now I've zoomed in. I've said to us, where are we on the bigger picture? We are pushing into major resistance. How do we get our ticket into the next zone? Okay, so this is what we need to be concerned about. You can see this is our 200-day MA. This is our big resistance band, big resistance in the zone. So the safest play that I can give you here, the safest play, is look for entries, multiple zeros, 92886. That is where we are right now. Now, that is based on a fib pool from the lows to the highs. We are looking for confluence. Remember, we want to see a tie in here with fibs, with horizontals, with moving averages, with VWAPs, those types of things. And your hot zone on PEPE, at the very least, 00929. Okay, that is your big support zone that you want to watch. So if you are trading PEPE now and you are longing this thing, understand this thing, if it remains bullish, it can dip at least 5%. Okay, so if you're longing this now and it reverses on you, be prepared for a 5% drawdown before you get some kind of reaction. If the market turns hyper bearish, then be prepared for a 7.5% drawdown on PEPE. So understand where your risks are, understand your risk reward, so understand how much leverage you are using. If you zoom out to this thing and you look at it this way, you can say, okay, there's a trade here on PEPE potentially. What is my risk if I want to take on that 35% trade? What is my actual risk here? My risk reward is 7-1 if that trade plays out. And
hold on. Can we check out the risk on the likes? Why is there risk management on the likes?
Is there risk on the likes here, guys? Hit the likes, hit the subscribe,
let's go.
Bell.
Guys,
you know what to do.
You know guys, I'm sure we got new people. Follow the steps below.
Yes, Ray's famous steps. He solved all the mysteries of crypto in 5 seconds. Okay, follow Ray's famous steps there, ticking underneath. So just to cover PEPE again, if the market remains bullish, we want to hold the 50-day MA. We want to hold the 100-day MA. On this type of time frame, the tightest stop I can give you is about 5% with an upside of 36%. That is what you're going to be looking for. If the market reverses badly, your risk on a spot position is about 13%. Now, that would be PEPE nearly losing the lows from our dump the other day. I think that would be a struggle in these current conditions, but anything is possible. So risk for spot, biggest risk, 13%, medium-sized risk, 5%. Now, DGens, this is what you do. You zoom in, okay? And you say, where are my hot zones here? Where are my risk areas? And if you're an absolute savage, okay, you can pull this thing under these horizontals. So 0.0094 is what you can use. Then 0.00929. Those are your hot support zones. Those are your safest zones that you can play with at the moment for PEPE. So just play safe and just manage your risk. Okay, that 200-day MA is critical for us. If we break that well, I think we're going to be okay this time. I think it's going to start sending. Okay, let's talk Sol. Old faithful at the moment, the market's darling, and Sol outperforms all other blockchains in weekly DEX volume for the 3rd consecutive week, as we know. Okay, Sol is absolutely cooking right now, but look, strong bounce yesterday. We are back at the highs. Okay, we've broken the highs. We broke 180, so looking good for us on Sol. But I'm nervous to take new Sol positions where we are right now. Okay, there's multiple reasons why, but we know these oscillators are getting a little bit tired. So what I wanted to show you now was Sol on the 8-hour, and I'm just giving you a little picture here. I spoke about some bearish divergence to look out for on BTC, but we can see it using a regular oscillator here on Sol. We can see the prices going up, but the oscillator is turning down at the moment. So that is a sign that maybe Sol's going to get tired. It doesn't mean it's going to dump to zero, but it could be a sign that maybe some other alts could get a little bit more energy now. And I mean, we've seen, like, look how Sui reacted yesterday. Look how Tower reacted. Look how some of these other tokens have bounced so hard. And Sol, maybe it's time to just rotate a little bit and on the short term. Now, this doesn't mean that I don't believe Sol can go to 193, which is what I'm looking at. Then we've got 204. Then we've got 210. These are my upside targets. I'm holding my trade. No changes for me. No changes on that Sol trade that I'm sitting in, looking for higher. But as far as new trades are concerned, let's just watch these zones. Okay, so I've got some key levels for you guys. If you're sitting in Sol positions, 173, bullish zone. 167, bullish zone. And then an absolute cracker here, 163. Is a big zone for me, and we've got big tie in here. This is a big 382 pool in this region. I've got my anchored VWAP as well, so these are great support levels. If you're trading Sol or if you are looking to build some kind of bullish Sol position, these are your zones that you want to be looking at to start building some kind of entry there. So it's 173, 167, 163 for Sol. So just looking for that little dip there on Sol, then ascend. We've got 190, we've got 204, we've got 210. So some great targets there for us. And guys, remember, just like yesterday, the tokens that you want me to look at, drop them in the comments after the show. Ray will compile them today. I got you Turbo and I got you Jasmine. Now, we haven't looked at that in a while, and that was what you guys dropped in the comments for me yesterday. So remember, just after the show, drop the ones you want and we will look at it. Now, let's talk Rune. Yesterday, I showed you a couple of Rune positions that I had going in Bitfunded. and I now have one left. Okay, so I TP'd one of them for me on RUNE, and hoping this one runs a little bit more, so this can run a little longer. Okay, so Bitfunded lets you open 2 positions. They don't combine the positions. So the one was $10,000, the other was $5,000. So I closed the 10K one. We're letting the 5K one run, and I'm still trying to qualify for the actual trading account. So Bitfunded have given me this platform here. This is a $50,000 account, demo account that I'm trying to trade through here at the moment. And when we start nailing this, then we start using real money. Okay, then we get their money. We can keep 80 to 90% of the profits if we keep trading with this thing. So that is what I'm doing there. There's a link in the description for you for Bitfunded. They explain exactly what you have to do here. Here's challenge 1, and challenge 1, I need to make $2,000. I need to make $4,000. Okay, challenge 1. Challenge 2, I need to make $2,500, and then we get a live trading account. Okay, very simple game plan here. So jump into the link in the description here and trade with other people's money. Now let's look at RUNE. Okay, this one is looking interesting here, and this has now hit our reaction zone. So you can see there's a white line here, 6.3. I'm going to show you why this was a TP zone for me. So the first thing we're going to do is just zoom out a little bit here. And we're going to take a look, and we can see I've pulled a 786 fib, okay, looking for a rejection zone. I had confluence in this region with these horizontals, okay, bang, a little area there for us. And that for me, nice little TP area on RUNE. So if you are in RUNE, maybe this is an area you want to just take a little bit of something off the table. This is a typical reaction zone, a typical rejection zone for you to start paying attention to. Now, what do we do with RUNE if we're staying super bullish? How do we add to these positions? Now, I'm running that position on ByBit at the moment, and I think there could be an opportunity here to really start smashing that thing. So I'm looking for new buys on RUNE. I want to start adding on 5.68. Now, that would be ideal for me because of the size of the position. I don't want to ape in too early. So 5.68 is what I'm looking for on RUNE if we do get that pullback. But we do have a degen zone here, 5.92. So let's see what happens when we dip into this 5.92 region. Let's see if we get some kind of move off that. Alternatively, for me, 5.68, that's a nice bullish zone for me. I've got an anchored as well. I've got a nice pivot level there on these horizontals. So that looks like an interesting zone there for all the RUNE traders. Now, hopefully some of you guys got this thing, and let me know in the chat. Let's actually see what you guys are doing. Let's see who's here. Science says AVAX PAMP. We got to look at AVAX. It was sitting at resistance there, and I am in an AVAX position. Bruno's looking for some near. He's also looking for some whiff. Guys, I owe you whiff, but today I've got PopCat and PEPE. I do owe you whiff. I can bring out some whiff tomorrow. And Jesse says, Euphoria kicking in. Is it time to short? Raymond, you haven't shouted at me yet, bro. Are we there? I'm waiting. We're back
to 72.5. It keeps rejecting off of that so far.
We're waiting, bro. We're nearly there. Okay, we're nearly there. We just want to fake out above that level there. Little fake pump through that area. Okay, let's see what else we got. AJ's here. He says the only goal is to make Ray happy today. Come on, guys. Keep Ray happy. Rocket Fire says Soul 186. That's a nice target there. Arctic Trading likes big time. FTM I've got for you guys. It's coming up next. Let's see what else we got as well. It says all the psycho degens are here, and I see Maruk. Maruk, are you still leading, or are you still in the competition? Let's see if Maruk is here. Let's see. Yeah, she's third. Okay, Maruk is coming third, and I'd like to know what you're trading. Maruk, let me know what you're trading here. I want to see what you guys have. Bruno, I've got some PopCat for you. Stefan says PopCat popping. Please tell me PopCat is not popping because I closed my PopCat position. I'm looking for a new entry. Okay. So what do we got? We've got RUNE. We are covered. These are hot zones for RUNE where we can look to add to these positions. Let's just look at some upside targets quickly for RUNE. So we'll just zoom out on the 12-hour. And let's identify our next big zone. And the next one for me is 7.1 on RUNE. That makes the most sense to me, 7.1. So if we can get a nice little bullish pullback in any of these big zones, look at this nice little area here. Look how juicy that is there. So if we can get that push there, 7.1 looks pretty hot to me. So a little bit of patience required. It could take a couple of days to play out here, but that is our target there on RUNE. Now, let's see what else we got. So WeX, I took a couple of trades yesterday. One of the trades that was really interesting to me, we spoke about SUI on two different levels yesterday. There were two areas, 1.41, and I think the other one was 1.6 we're going to look at that 𝗬𝗎 chart now. And 𝗬𝗎 is now absolutely ripped. You can see my position here on WeX at the moment. It's now $17,000. We are $2,500 up. Nice little morning's work here on 𝗬𝗎. Thanks for the 26% pump there for us. And let's take a look at 𝗬𝗎. Oh my God! Look at this thing, right? How's this pump, bro? It won't stop.
Well, I'm embarrassed. I took a nap when all these entries happened.
Oh, Ray, you were sleeping, bro. Okay, absolute bang on 𝗬𝗎. Let's just talk through this yesterday. What did we have? We spoke about two big levels. 1.64 was interesting to us. It was a 382. It was horizontals. It was the anchored VWAP as well. So a big hot zone for us. It was an area of interest. And then we had a much bigger zone at 1.41. But both of those were interesting regions for us on 𝗬𝗎. Now, as it played out, it's now ripped off zone number 1. So now what do we do as absolute degens? Well, this is what I've set up for you guys. This is what we are looking for now. So I want to just give you an example and just a demo as to what we are looking for. You've heard me talk about, you know, a change of trend. You've heard me talk about we're looking for bullish retests and all these types of things. But what does it actually mean? What am I actually talking about? So here's an example. The last time 𝗬𝗎 broke out, you can see here on the left-hand side of the chart, we had a nice strong pump. Okay, and what did we look for? We look for a bullish retest. If this thing's going to remain in an uptrend, it's either going to hold typically the 382 or it's going to hold the 618 fib. And in this example, it dumped into that 618, tied in with horizontal. It pumped straight up again. Now, again, we're looking at bullish retest. What are we going to get? A dip down. It gave us a bounce on that 618 fib. And then obviously this time it failed. But that is typically what we're going to be looking for now. So any big moves that we get out of all of these altcoins that we are looking at today and any alts that you are trading, you're typically looking for these bullish retests on a 382, on a 618. Obviously, in some cases, even a 236 fib could be playing out for you guys. So that is the typical move we want to do. And if we get this right, if you get your entries nice and juicy at the low, there's normally a couple of opportunities to add to your positions on these types of retests. You can grow a nice size position. And if you get 2 or 3 waves out of this, then you can have quite a nice pump. And you guys have seen me do that a couple of times over the last year or so. And that's typically where you make a ton of money, especially with these leverage trades. This is how you maximize your leverage. So instead of staying in one small position, you want to start adding in good areas. So typically for me now on 𝗬𝗎, we've got a banger entry. Now what I want to do is I want to track when 𝗬𝗎 rejects. Now we got to identify an area where 𝗬𝗎 could potentially reject. Once it rejects, then we can start figuring out where we can catch this thing on some kind of bullish retest. So let's take a look here. Let's pull some basic fibs. We'll go from the highs to the lows. And we want to identify a 618. We want to identify a 786 fib. And we want to try and find areas where this thing could potentially reject. And then we can start mocking up where we could get some kind of bullish pullback. So zone number 1 here, 2.07. This looks like a rejection area for me on 𝗬𝗎, and then 2.2. Now, these are all danger zones. So this is what I suggest. If you're sitting in positions, these are your trouble zones. So this is where you take a little bit off the table, or if you have conviction that you want to hold this thing, maybe just bring your stop up a little bit to de-risk in case there's some kind of market flush out or something along those lines. But typically, this is what you want to see. So if we reject now in this region, then we're going to start hunting. We're going to start looking for bounces here, 236 fib. We're going to look for a bullish bounce on the 382 fib. And then worst case, we want to see that bounce on that 618. And that's going to give us this type of situation that you see on the left-hand side there. And we just want to repeat that and try and grow a big size on that 𝗬𝗎. So this principle is valid for any trade that you have a beautiful entry on. Remember the process here on my show, okay? What we like is on the red days, we snag those entries. When the days are red, when nobody likes crypto, when you're hating your life, those are the best entries. Like yesterday evening was pretty decent, grabbing that 𝗬𝗎 on that type of level. Then the next trade comes the next day when the market is pumping. Then we're trying to trade trend breakouts, and then we're trying to trade bullish retests. Hello, sir. Can I help you?
I'm disappointed in myself. I missed those entries.
Bro. It was right in front of you. It was right in front of you. Ray was even dropping the charts in Sniper Club. After the show, he puts all of these charts in Sniper Club. He's got no excuses. He's got no excuse for not catching that 𝗬𝗎. Okay, so that is my game plan on 𝗬𝗎. Looking for new buys, any retest. The juicy zone for me right now, we've got to wait to see when this thing rejects. But the main juicy region for me, you can see I've got an anchored VWAP there as well, 1.87. Okay, that looks like a nice region. That type of zone, you can really start adding a little bit extra to those positions. So just track this thing up at some point we get our pullback. And remember, there's no need for FOMO. The market doesn't go away. Okay, if you're buying into green candles now, you're exposing yourself to risk. So let it pump up. At some point, we get a breather. When we get the breather, it will happen this week. We're going to get a breather. Then we find those bullish entries. So just be patient there. If you're missing these things, hang in there. Another one we looked at yesterday was GRT. We gave you guys this entry. And very slow mover. Okay, very, very disappointing. But we do have an upside target on GRT, 0.206. That is my full move upside target. But GRT has got some work to do. So anybody that took GRT, I just want to highlight a couple of danger zones for you. Danger zone 1, 0.164. This is a hot zone here. We've got VWAPs, we've got 382, we've got 50-day MA. This is most likely a region where you get some kind of initial rejection. That is where you can look for your bullish retest buys. Then your next danger zone, if the market starts ripping, 0.175. That is your next zone where you just need to be a little bit careful there on your GRT trade. Now, one of these should trigger a pullback for you. One of them then should offer up some kind of bullish pullback zones, and that could give us that move to that upside target that we're going to be looking for. So ultimately, we want to see that 0.2065. Let it play out. It could be a long trip in that direction. You can see what happened last time. There was lots of chop along the way. Look at all these pullbacks along the way there for GRT before it got to that zone. So if you've missed the initial move, don't panic. Lots of time. Just be patient. You will get your entry. It's on its way. Okay, let's talk Injective. And interesting one for me. So Injective, we were saying it's looking bearish. It was looking bearish on the middle trend line that we were watching. So just a reminder as to where we were on Injective yesterday. We lost that rising trend. So this thing's looking bearish now from that perspective. If we take into account the lower trend, we can say this is still holding trend and we are still bullish on Injective, especially because our Wave Master is still turning up on the 4-hour. Our Wave Master is still turning up on things like the 12-hour as well. And there's lots of time. So there's lots of signs here telling us longer term, we're expecting quite a big Injective move here based on some of these oscillators. But on the short term, we could get areas where this thing could reject a little bit. So I just want to highlight for you guys 2 important zones for Injective. You are now in danger zone number 1. And I've highlighted this here. I've got a trend. I've got 50-day MA. I've got 100-day MA. I've got anchored VWAP. I've got horizontal. So this is a hot zone. Be very careful in this region. 20.5, a danger zone here for you, Injective traders. If you are jumping in here, you are jumping in at the top of a move, potentially. Okay, it could squeeze higher, yes, but you are exposing yourself to risk if it does turn over. So I just want to highlight the size of the risk here. If you are trying to jump in now, your risk you are looking at, you're most likely looking at about a 6% risk here before our next bullish bounce zone. So just play that one safe. Ultimately, we're going to get, at some point, we're going to get some pullback on these tokens. I would expect it to be a 382 or a 618 for pullback. Just be patient. Okay, right now it looks like 19 and 18.3 on Injective. If anything, this is a short zone. If anything, this is your danger zone. Exercise caution up here, the bulls. Okay, and I want to see the sentiment here. Quick sentiment check here, right? What comes first? 75K, 65K. It feels like we need a short. It feels like we need a short Bitcoin here, bro. 75K first or 65K? 75%. 75%. Want to send it to 75K?
Jeez.
Woo! I see Stefan shouting Myro at us. Guys, the stuff's going down here. Okay, let's cover Phantom quickly. Absolute banger. Look at this thing. Now, I just want to highlight something quickly on the daily on Phantom. Just want to point this out. Again, I'm not trying to bring doom and gloom, but we need to start pushing hard now on Phantom. Okay, otherwise we're getting some kind of head and shoulders situation. Yes, I just want to say Phantom needs to wake up. It needs to hold. And it needs to start ripping urgently. Okay, that is what we want to see. Bigger picture. Now we've had a nice bounce off our typical Lord of the Entry zone, 0.59. This was the 382, 200-day MA, horizontals. There was VWAP action in there as well. So typical bounce zone on Phantom. How do we play this now? So I've broken this Phantom down for you guys into a degen setup. And again, typically, it's a high-risk play here. If you're trying to buy Phantom where it is now, it's a high-risk play. You are at what appears to be the top of a move. Maybe you want to just wait for some kind of consolidation here. And my safest region that I can give you, 0.69. You're looking for that. That's a beautiful little area there on Phantom. We've got double anchored VWAPs. We've got horizontals. We got our bullish 236 fib. So somewhere in that region looks pretty good to me. And then 0.67, also an absolute banger here. If you can get something like that for me on Phantom, 0.69, 0.67, those are your hot zones for me in the current situation. Now, if Phantom starts pumping a little bit harder and we do get one more push here, when we get that next rejection, we're going to look for that move. So right now for me, the only advice I could give you guys right now is just be safe. Okay, do not ape too much on these big moves, okay? FOMO can be a deadly thing for you. If you feel you've missed out of this move now you ape in. What happens if Bitcoin rejects now and it starts drifting lower, okay? Just understand that, and you're trading leverage, then you get yourself in a bit of a pickle, okay? So at some point, we're going to get some kind of setup. I see Moonflow likes this Phantom setup. Yes, guys, this is the safest degen setup I can give you, okay? I mean, if you're longing this year, just understand where your risks are. And let's just look at these. Let's just look at the size of the risk. If you're a long Phantom here, you're 4% down to where you could potentially bounce. And then you are 7% down to another banger bounce area. So if that ties in with your leverage that you are comfortable with, then go for it. Okay. If you are a greedy degen like me and we like tight entries, 69, 67, that's where you want to be. And that is what I want to see. Okay, let's go. ZoomX. Okay, so don't forget, futures trading competition. This is our ZoomX comp. And I've been only trading Popcat. You can see Popcat is back. I'm coming 5th. Popcat, such a good kitty. Where is it? There it is. So after getting invalidated on this Popcat, I started building a new position. We finally fired off last night. So coming 5th again. C-Bros. Look at C-Bros. He's 230% up. He's in line to win $4,000 futures bonus here. Okay, participating in this competition. The top 10 are sharing that futures bonus. So very simple, guys. Jump into the link in the description. Trade the ZoomX comp with me. There's another few days left in this competition. I think we got 10 days left. And get involved. You don't need a KYC. This is a VPN only thing. If you are sitting in restricted areas, you can trade this out of your browser. In some of these countries, if you just have a VPN, then you can make use of it. So grab this ZoomX, trade the comp with me, and I'm trading Popcat only in this thing. And we've been, there goes Popcat. And we've been dropping Popcat setups and ideas in the ZoomX channel in Sniper Club. So guys, again, Popcat traders, we just need to be patient here. Now, I exited last night in my sleep. My exit was 171, give or take. I had a limit sell order there. And now I wanted to see lower. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I'm building a degen setup here on Popcat. And the minute we get a decent rejection, we're going to start accumulating Popcat again. My strategy on Popcat has been to start buying on hot zones. As this thing falls over, we start accumulating on hot areas. We have our bullish bias. We're making an assumption that this thing is going to trend higher. And with that in mind, we're buying on degen zones, 236 fib, 382 fib, 618 fib. We're starting to build a position and then try and get some kind of slingshot out of Popcat. The reason I've been doing that is because Popcat's pretty volatile. And if you're trying to open a 10x or 15x position on Popcat in one zone, you stand the risk of getting liquidated pretty quickly. Okay, so what I've been doing is 7x, 8x position, and then start small amounts on each of those levels and gradually getting bigger as it dips lower. And then that last one is hopefully the solid bullish bounce. So that is how I've been trying to play this. Obviously, the assumption is we need to assume this thing is going to continue on this uptrend. And if that does, well, then we're going to start cooking. So the minute we get our next pullback on Popcat, look for the pullbacks, look for your fibs, 236 fib, 382 fib. I'm going to do buys on those. And obviously, Sniper Club members, I'll update you tomorrow with the chart. I'll show you exactly where the levels are that I'm looking. If I am buying Popcat, I will let you know, obviously, when I do. And we are looking for some bigger things there on Popcat. Now, let's cover a couple of tokens from the comments. Yesterday, you guys were kind enough to leave the tokens in the comments that you want. Ray sends them to me. Let's take a look. So the first one is Turbo. And this was an absolute banger. A couple of weeks ago, I remember the guys, whenever I opened Banter Bubbles, this thing was 40% up or doing something stupid. And now we've had a typical 618 pullback. Look at that. Nice little pump and a nice 618 pullback now. And Turbo, look, I mean, it's a massive sell-off. Let's just look at the size of this thing here. I mean, that's some proper dumpage there. That's a 40% sell-off. Hopefully nobody bought the top on this one. And now what you can do is you can just dial in on lower timeframes, and you can start just having a look as to what is potentially going on here, and then start building a couple of degen zones where if the trend is going to continue, this thing should now start holding. So you can see on this time frame here, the 1 hour that I've pulled out, we do have a trend that's been broken. We do have a trend that's been retested here. So we just zoom in, and then we start looking at some key support levels. So let's look at the lows to the highs. Look at that. We've got our 618 in play, bang. And that is why we most likely getting a reaction there. So we've got a trend in play. We've got a 618. Look at those horizontals giving us confluence. So we got 3 levels of confluence here telling us that that was a reaction level for us. So Turbo, if you are trading this now, your support is 927. That is your big support there. If you start losing that region, your next reasonable zone, your next most reasonable area that it could bounce on, 0.89. Okay, those are your 2 hot zones that I would pay attention to. If it starts dipping lower, then maybe the market's falling over a little bit, but you can see you've got support there with your trend. So I would say if it loses this 69 level, there's a long for you down here. And you're going to look for that kind of push up, maybe take out those wicks. So something along these lines for Turbo. Ray's going to drop these charts in Sniper Club for you guys. So Turbo, 0.00898. That could be a banger zone if the current level is lost. Okay, so first line of support you've got. We know what that is, 927. If that is lost, there's a long for me on Turbo. That could be a nice banger play there for you guys. Lovely trend tie-in as well. I like that. And then 𝗓𝗍. We didn't cover this too long ago, but there were signs. I think we were talking about 𝗓𝗍. This is 𝗓𝗍 on the 3-day. We were talking about 𝗓𝗍 somewhere here. And we were saying this thing is looking ugly, looking like a potential head and shoulders. This thing was potentially going to fall over. So far, it has started playing out. So just something to keep an eye on. We did hit our support zone that I highlighted on that show. And that was our big support, 0.01579. So we knew this was a weekly support level as well, a super strong zone. But 𝗓𝗍 could be interesting. We know this is a pumper. So what I want to give the degens over here is a little bit of bull sauce. We know this thing can rip. So what you want to do is highlight this zone on your charts. I'm going to mark this one for you guys. Look at this big resistance band. Okay, so highlight 0.01977. Highlight that region. When we start popping through that zone, okay, when we start sticking our head through that region, look at this. We've got double VWAPs here. We've got 50-day MA. We've got 382. We've got trend. When we start popping through this guy, there's a trade on here for 𝗓𝗍. Okay, there's a degen play coming and potential big move. So watch this, multiple zeros, 1977. Let it break. Okay, that's your lowest risk play. Let it break first. Then we can use the 50-day MA. We can use this whole region as support later for 𝗓𝗍 to send higher. So that's your safest degen play. If you're trying to long 𝗓𝗍 now, you got to understand your risk is all the way back to the lows. 14%. So if you're comfortable with that, then build a position on 𝗓𝗍, okay? If not, let it break. Looking for that safe support zone, that retest area there for us. And then a couple of upside targets for you on 𝗓𝗍 that you can look for. Very simple stuff. You can just look for the horizontals and the 200-day MA as target number 1. Keep it very simple here. That's a hot zone for me. 23. Then another target for you on 𝗓𝗍. 31. Okay, nice little zones there. Could be a nice mover. Let's see, 22%, 63%. Could be a pumper. Okay, I can see that happening. Looks pretty reasonable in the super bullish market. Let's see if that is going to start playing out for us. Now, guys, that was great. Okay, now remember, we can't always have a trade every single day. Okay, if the markets run away from us, remember, the trades were yesterday. We had setups yesterday. We dished out tons of setups. And we spoke about the thesis about holding the lows, looking for some nice moves or some good zones. And so far, so good. We had Wavemaster telling us things were pushing higher and, potentially we're going to get that kind of move. Now it's time, a little bit of patience. Let's look for some bullish pullbacks. If you're taking on risk now, remember, your downside, 5%, 8%, a lot of them on these alts before they could bounce if there is a reversal. So just be patient. I'm back tomorrow. Let's see what the market gives us in the next 24 hours. Whatever they give us, we'll sort you out tomorrow. So hang in there, guys. See you later.
Let's fucking go.
Are we shorting Bitcoin, bro?